Eileen, are you sure you didn't do something on your face?
No, I
Yes.
did not. Let us start. I'm just starting in a few. Okay, we are ready and we are live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second session of our Bold Moves webinar series. And in our last conversation, we explored the courage it takes to make difficult decisions, even when it comes to choosing alignment over attachment. Today, we're taking that conversation a step further. Because after the decision comes the becoming. There are moments in life where you're not just asked to do something new, you're asked to become someone new, to expand, to stretch, and to step into spaces that may feel unfamiliar, uncomfortable, or even undeserved. That's what today is about. Our theme is becoming, the bold move into who you are meant to be. Basically, stepping into who you are meant to be. A few housekeeping rules. This session is also streaming streaming live on YouTube. And please keep your microphones on mute unless invited to speak. If you have questions, kindly drop them in the Q&A box or chat. We'll address them during the session. If you have anything to say or comments to stay engaged, please feel free to share your thoughts with us throughout the discussion. Welcome, everyone. Today, I am joined by three incredible voices who are also authors of the book itself, Bold Moves, who each bring unique perspectives of growth, leadership, reinvention, and identity. Ladies, we are so excited to learn from your journeys today and insights that you'll share with us today. Kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Celine, and good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's session. My name is Diana Nkirote Gitonga. I am a CHRPK, that means a certified HR professional. I hold a master's in human resource management. I am a mediator. I am a published author with Zion Publishers as a co-author for Bold Moves. And I welcome you to today's session, ready to learn with us. I hope you enjoy the session. And just looking forward to sharing my story, my experiences with you. And to add on that, I am married and blessed with 2 children. I'm excited to be here. So welcome to today's session. And thank you so much, Wangui and Jennifer, for joining me today. Back to you, Celine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dara, for that lovely introductions and starting us off. I'll allow the next panelist to introduce herself.
Oh, thank you, Celine. And hello, everyone. And thank you for joining us for this webinar. I see familiar names. Karibuni sana for this webinar. So my name is Jennifer Naserian Muindi. I am a certified executive coach with the International Coaching Federation, where I provide professional coaching services, particularly to women within organizations and entrepreneurs alike, helping them to lead with confidence and impact. I have been a seasoned banker for over 2.5 decades in 2 Tier 1 banks. I'm a certified expert in sustainable finance from Frankfurt School of Finance and Management in Germany, and I have just been admitted as a platinum member of the Kenya Bankers Association Institute. I'm a consultant, I'm a trainer, and to enhance my leadership, I hold a certificate in Women in Leadership from European Business Institute, Luxembourg. And aside from that, I am a board advisor, I am a board member, and I am the vice chair of the Energy and Environment Commission at the International Chamber of Commerce, Kenya. I like volunteering a lot in community service. And in that regard, I am an active member of the Rotary International. I am a Bravo member of the Kenya Girl Guides Association. And I also volunteer a lot in serving the church. I love gardening because it's therapeutic. So I am a member of the Kenya Horticultural Society of Kenya, Lower Eastern Kenya, where we meet and empower each other to create beautiful spaces in our homes and even in the community that we are in. So, as a co-author of Bold Moves, I share powerful lessons on growth, on evolving and becoming more, drawing from my own experience, my own journey, and powered by conviction in motion. Outside my professional life, I treasure family. So you'll find me organizing family events or attending family events. And I also find joy in hiking. In that regard, I have scaled Mount Kenya. I have scaled Mount Kilimanjaro at the age of 50, and which story I have touched in the book. I also love traveling a lot, and I sing in my home village church choir. We have so far produced with that church choir 5 albums. Celine, that's about me. I am excited to have all of you here as we explore this powerful dialogue of stepping into the next version of you together and the bold move of becoming who you want or who you're meant to be. Welcome, all of you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that detailed introduction. And our guests in the session can see you're a woman of many talents, many side quests, and also a member of many societies. And we are so glad to have you as a panelist during this session. Thank you so much. We can't wait to hear from you. I'll allow our last panelist to introduce herself.
Thank you, Celine, and good evening, everyone. My name is Wangui Kariuki. I'm a senior HR professional with around 15 years of work experience, both in administration and HR. I hold a Master's of Business Administration, specializing in human resource management, and a bachelor's degree in commerce and administration. I'm a certified professional, both locally and internationally. And currently, I'm the head of HR for an NGO where we are supporting operations in around 8 African countries. Apart from that, I am a trainer. I also help businesses develop their people function. The other bit is that I'm an author, and I have co-authored in this book called Bold Moves. And in my chapter, my focus is on my long journey to leadership. So today, as I speak about heading a HR function, it just did not come. It's been a journey to this point. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for joining this conversation. I'm excited about sharing my journey, but also learning from my fellow speakers. And I'm looking forward to a productive conversation for all of us. Thank you, and back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Wangui, for that lovely introduction. It's such an awesome chance to have you with us. And for those that are just joining us in, our theme of the webinar is becoming the bold move into who you're meant to be. Let me just paraphrase it, stepping into who you are meant to be. And let us just dive right into the conversation. Let us begin by grounding ourselves in this idea of becoming. And this is a roundtable question to the ladies. There are moments in life where it doesn't just ask you to make a decision, it asks you to expand. So for you three specifically, what was a moment where you realized you had to become more and not just do more?
Good. Thank you so much, Celine, for that question. For me, one defining moment for me was when I realized that excelling in what I was doing was no longer enough, that I needed to evolve into someone I was becoming. I had started my career as in the hospitality industry. I actually acquired a bachelor's degree from Kenyatta University. That means 4 years. And again, I secured a job just before I graduated, and I did about 2 years in that resort. And I was excelling very well. I was growing. I was being promoted. I was getting. I was delivering results, but deep within, I felt a pull towards something more, towards shaping people, influencing performance, and building systems that impacted organizations at a deeper level. That realization led me to make a bold shift into human resource management. And as a Christian, I really had to talk to my God and seek direction into the next move, into the next career, because I am a people person. I love seeing people grow into better versions of themselves. So I actually had to believe it from within, start with myself. I believed in my capabilities. I believed I was a leader. I believed I could move people into getting results done and organizations flourish. So what did that mean for me? It meant that I had to go back to school all over again. I started from a certificate. I went for my CHRPK, and immediately I went for my MBA. And I'm looking forward to starting my PhD very soon. With all this, that moment taught me that growth is not always about doing more of what you already know. It's about becoming someone new to align with where you are called to go. So, people, you need to dig deep and see, where am I? Am I really where God wants me? Are you serving your purpose? Are you loving what you're doing? And then from there, you can make a bold move of saying, yes, I need to do 1, 2, 3 to make me a better person and becoming a better version of who I am meant to be. Thank you. And back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Diana. That was such a lovely way to start us off. And you've mentioned it was a pull into shaping more than just people, but also organizational structure and culture. And that led to you starting again. And as we head on to Jennifer, I'd like to ask if such a moment was similar to that of Diana's, or yours was a bit different.
Thank you, Celine. Not very different from what Diana has talked about. In my case, and I have spoken about this in the book, is after pivoting from what I did in the university, and I started my career in the bank. In the early years of my career, doing more really meant really skilling myself, and grounding myself into the career that I had chosen and had decided that I am going to pursue. And with that, expansion grew into meaning promotions, meaning getting promotion, vertical growth from after X number of years, after working for X number of years, feeling it's time to step into the next role. And like many other early careers of such nature, it is easier to step into the next role vertically earlier on in your career, but it is not automatic. I'm not saying it is automatic. It meant being prepared for the next move. However, as I grew into my career and I grew into the ranks, there comes a time when these vertical movements slow down. They sort of slow down, and they're no longer predictable, neither available. And what happens? Comfort zone settles in. And when that happens, there is that nudge to become more than just the job description, the role, the work you're doing, and going back to your family, more than just that. And what more than just that meant, becoming more, is to expand my sphere of influence. I felt I need now to expand my sphere of influence now beyond just my workplace and my family now into community. And that's where volunteership came in, where now this volunteership was bringing a very good balance now to what I was already doing, and I'm comfortable doing the work, the job, into now new areas of leadership, which are not necessarily structured. So to me, becoming more meant stepping out of my comfort zone at that point when I felt I'm settling into that comfort zone, and just to increase my circle of impact and to bring the right balance in my book. So I have highlighted to bring the right balance in my life. And I have highlighted how then I joined community groups like Rotary International, serving in the church, taking leadership to serve in the church, and to increase my sphere of influence so that I impact more. I also, even at my place of work, I would organize my colleagues and we would go to do community work. We have gone to somewhere in Masai Mara to go and donate. We donated some sewing machine to try and empower widows there. So more and more getting involved in my surrounding beyond my work. So that is the angle I needed to bring in addition to what Nkirote has talked about. Thank you, Celine. That's it. Celine, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, Jennifer. Celine
Okay.
is not.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
My apologies for that. It seems there's a bit of a downtime on internet. Yeah, so let us just continue. I was building up on what Jennifer has mentioned, and I said hers is shifting away from predictability and choosing not to settle in comfort, which is something not many people decide to do. And I just like to hear what Wangui's perspective or moment was, if it relates with yours too.
Also, thank you, Celine. I think just like the ladies who've spoken before me, of course, mine goes back to my first employment. I will not equate it to just one maybe moment that led to that shift. But as I've said in the book, when I completed my first degree, of course, having passed with flying colors, and the first job I got was, of course, not what I would have wanted. But at least I was glad I was not going back to the village. I was still remain in the city. So when I went in, it was more of a secretarial role. So of course, typing of minutes, I don't know, attending meetings and filing. So in my when I started working, of course, my perspective then was, if I worked hard, if I put in hours, you know, if I introduced, I don't know, maybe if I did more, this would be a good opportunity for me to grow and be recognized so that I can get to the level I really wanted to, because that is not what I really had envisioned. So a couple of years into the role, like 2-3 years in, I started getting frustrated, because what would happen is the more work you put, of course, the more notes you're brought to type in, the more, you know, minutes and the more meetings you are invited into. Then at that moment in time, now starting asking myself, if I want to grow and if I want to get out of this place someday, I need to position my way in myself in one way or the other. And I just decided to take advantage of the situation I was in right back then. So for example, anytime I was brought to type like I've mentioned, it's a learning institution, to type a timetable, for example, I would offer myself and I'd ask, can I help with creating the course content? The next time I brought a list of maybe lecturers to contact for the next semester, I would ask, can I take a few classes, from this timetable? So eventually I learned to position, to offer myself towards the direction that I was hoping to achieve. And these activities, and actually the other thing that would happen is there are a lot of trainers that would come, especially from international institutions. I would again request to attend, not just as a note taker, but also as a participant. So what would happen then eventually is this equipped me to transitioning from that secretarial role, that the next position that came up for me was actually as a training officer, because I was able, as much as I'm not talked about it in the book, I was able now to tell my story around maybe preparing materials, showing up in classes, and also the kind of trainings that I had received from different platforms. So for me, it is after a couple of years of frustration, asking what would I do with whatever was available at that point in time to position myself for the next level. And that is how my journey to becoming who I am today, I believe, began. Thank you, and back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Wangui, for that. And I love that yours is more about the many experiences you had and strategic positioning of yourself and using opportunities that were in front of you. And these both moments, these three moments from the ladies have taught us that many people can relate, and it makes us realize that growth is not one-dimensional. It happens differently for each of us, and each of us have to face it differently. So let's talk about what happens when that growth places you in unfamiliar places. I'll just start on with Jennifer. In your journey, you had to step into spaces where leadership wasn't just about position, it was also about presence. What does it take to show up with authority when one is still growing into that version of themselves? Is Jennifer with us?
I'm sorry. I think I was on mute. I'm here.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Celine, for that question. And I really appreciate the question. It is really wonderful. So in my life, and this is what I was saying, sorry, I was on mute, is that I have a life mantra, which I normally use and guides a lot of my decisions and guides a lot of the path that I take. And it is do what you can, when you can, the moment matters. You will see this in the book. I have talked about it. And when we say show up with authority, when one is still growing into that version of themselves, this is all about believing in yourself and in your ability. See yourself, already visualizing yourself in that version that you want to become. Because you can only grow into what you see yourself. And in that, and once you have seen your destination, where you want to be, or who you want to become, then work backwards and look at yourself and ask yourself and figure out, what does it take for me to get there? Mm-hmm. Because ability will meet opportunity. And growth does not just happen suddenly, Celine. It doesn't happen suddenly. There are markers to your growth journey that you'll be able to see. And they will show up in terms of opportunity to show with authority when you are still growing. You don't have to have arrived in order to show with authority. I'll just give short story about an opportunity that came my way immediately after I transitioned from mainstream banking. And I had already positioned myself as a trainer. And I got this opportunity. I was approached on LinkedIn. And I got this opportunity to prepare training material content within a week. And to deliver that training, it was supposed to in Tanzania. And the way I showed up with authority, even though I was still becoming, is to say, yes, then let's figure out how. And once we had already agreed in terms of I can take on that training, Celine, within that 1 week, I already had the content ready, approved for training. And I was ready in the next 2 weeks to go and deliver the training in Dar es Salaam. So what I'm talking about is visualizing yourself into what you want to become. And you can do, you can get a mentor. A mentor is someone who has walked the same journey as you and can share key experiences with you to make your journey easier and to lighten your journey. You can also get a coach, and a coach will help guide you and hold you accountable into becoming the person you are becoming. So that's what I have to say about this. About stepping with authority, showing up with authority, even when you're still growing into that version of themselves. It's a journey. A bold move is not sudden. It is preparedness, meeting opportunity, and taking advantage of the opportunities that come your way that will take you in the direction of where you want to become. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that. And the idea of growing while showing up itself is powerful, because often we don't feel fully ready. But what I'm picking up from you is that we can do what we can when we can. We can believe in ourselves. We can visualize ourselves and show up with authority. And that itself will set us up for success. And to Wangui, growth often requires us to let go of familiar versions of ourselves. As Jennifer has mentioned, growth does not happen automatically. It usually happens over discomfort. So what did you have to unlearn to step into your next level?
Thank you for that question. I think for me, something that I had to unlearn is the whole concept of stability. So the comfort that we get in terms of the stability, that things must be stable, we must be certain before we make any move. Because what I have seen with that is, for so long, it puts us in a box and it limits our thinking, because we want to operate from a point of certainty. For example, when you're looking at the workplace and you're thinking about moving to another employer, you're looking for employment, there's a tendency to check with the other organization and asking, is this a stable organization? How long has it been around? Well, I do not encourage carelessness, but what I would say is the stability should not be the goal. Is that we must be willing to, to live that level of comfort and face the world, because there are so many opportunities out there. And whatever I've seen, for example, even as I mentioned that I'm in HR, most people talking about, like when they're talking about their employment and someone is telling you, I am permanent and I don't know, pensionable. And one thing I've told people, that there's nothing permanent in this world. You have to know that things can change, and like we've been told change is the only constant thing, that things can change, and so you must be adaptable. So what this did for me, for example, I remember before I transitioned to the current role, I had been working in an organization that I would have considered very stable in every aspect of it. But a time had come when I felt that that place was not serving me. And the opportunity, whatever I'm currently doing, that presented itself, it was in a younger organization, NGO, donor funded. And the uncertainty about the NGO world. And even looking at the experience we had with USAID. And of course, at that point in time, I was struggling with that aspect of stability. Do I pursue this? Do I not? But eventually, of course, I left whatever I would have considered stable to my current role. And now, what has that done for me? I have experienced growth because that meant changing the industry, meeting a different caliber of people, learning, and also wanting to bring change. So for me, I think generally, my message would be, I don't think there's anything, a stability. Do your calculated risk. If you think a place is no longer serving you, then get to transition to the next available opportunity, because I think our focus in life should just be becoming better than we were maybe the last 1 year or so. So I think for me, that's generally something that I've had to unlearn. And it's enabling me to even take more risks, because I have understood that there's nothing like stability, and I should be able to deal with issues as this come, that I should be very agile and to be able to deal with the challenges that will come my way. And that is the only way that I'll get to experience growth. Thank you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Wangui, for that. And you've mentioned such insightful points. You have said, let us be courageous enough to take that bold step, even from a point of uncertainty. Let us shed away the concept of stability, but still you have cautioned on not taking unplanned risks. And I just like to leave a quote to just amp up what you have said. I read somewhere that courage is not the absence of fear, but it's doing it despite the fear. So you just do it. And with that, I'll pose a question to our guests listening in today. Have you ever had to unlearn something to be able to grow or move out of your comfort zone? Just a yes or a no. Engage with me on that in the chat. So, and as sometimes stepping into something new also means navigating uncertainty, this will move on right to Diana. Transitions can feel like losing clarity before gaining it. It's something you have experienced before. So how do you move forward when you don't fully recognize the version of yourself you're becoming?
Great. Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Celine, for that question. When it comes to transitions, one can feel very disorienting because you're moving from a version of yourself that you already know or you're comfortable with, and moving to spaces where you're not the profession, you're not the go-to person, and you'll be treading on very murky waters until you feel grounded.
Yeah.
So for me, I've learned that you don't always move forward with clarity. You move forward with conviction and willingness to grow. What this means is, as God had the blueprint for the world of everyone, Madam Jennifer mentioned that you have to see the end and work your way behind. And that is something that I really had to look into, and I've written on the book that when I decided to move from hospitality to HR, I needed to see myself as a director somewhere. I needed to see myself as a policy maker in the government, or I needed to see myself as a mover and shaker, probably in the UN industry. And for me, was to say, what do I need to do right now and climb the ladder the right way? You know, there are people who jump and it can really affect you. And I know Wangui can say this. As HR professionals, we see people who jump roles so fast, and that leads them not to succeed. As long as you're saying that you have to move forward with conviction and willingness to grow. For me, I started with a certificate. Moving away from my degree, it meant that I really wanted to grasp the foundations of HR, for me to be that HR who does the best practices. And their best practices for HR. We know there are people who do HR just because they know, it is hire and fire. But in today's HR, it has changed. We have very educated employees who understand the employment law. They understand their rights. So when you come there and say you're the HR and you're doing things the wrong way, you will be in court every day. So when it comes to transitions, for me, I live with three things which I have actually learned from my boss, the CEO, is three things that I also want our audience to learn. We are going to be looking at three things: the skill set. What do I need to learn in this new space? And for me, I went back to starting at the certificate level and working my way upwards, getting my certificate and getting acknowledged as a certified HR professional and gaining my master's. That is skill set. What tools? So this is the tool set. What resources, systems, or people can support? For me, I had a very good mentor, Madam Perose. I know she's not here, but I want to acknowledge that lady. She held my hand. I joined very many WhatsApp groups for HR in law, so that you're able to understand what other people are doing outside there. If you have questions, I remember what I have also mentioned in the book is I have never been a HR officer or assistant. I've always been the HR manager. And it is because of the conviction I had. It is because I believed in myself that when I was given that position, I didn't want to fail. So I had to go there with zeal. I had to look for people who are going to give me the best advice, who would work with me, who meant the best for me. And again, the third thing is the mindset. Do I believe I am capable of becoming this next version of myself? As I earlier said, you are coming into a profession or a space that you do not know. You're learning things afresh. So, are you in the right mindset of learning and relearning? And for me, that really worked for me. So, and importantly, my faith also, I really relied on God and I asked God for clarity. I asked God for wisdom because as HR professionals, you hold very sensitive information. You are a decision maker, both for the organization and an advisor to the employees. So I've learned that sometimes clarity comes after obedience. So when God actually revealed to me that this is where you will thrive, I went there with obedience and I go back to him. And sometimes, because you fail and you fall short sometimes and you ask God for forgiveness and he renews your strength and you go back and you do some things and you're like, wow, I'm so proud of myself. So you take the step, you show up. So I learned to show up for HR events, you network, then you learn, and gradually the new version of you becomes the new space that you're excelling in. And finally, so even when I don't fully recognize who I am becoming, I trust the process, stay consistent, and allow growth to unfold. And I'm very proud of myself that I started all over again. It was going to take time, but with conviction, with passion, with learning, and seeing the clear picture of where you're going, it really transforms how transitions and reinventions can look for you in any sphere of your life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Those are such insightful and very practical things to do. And just stay with me on this. I've seen you've mentioned about relearning, getting new skills, starting all over again. Let me give you a real life scenario so that we get to have learning from real life experiences. So we have Ben. He is in the workspace. He is very qualified, very capable as a professional, but he feels invisible and overlooked. What bold move does Ben need to make?
Should I start?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Celine. And allow me to acknowledge and recognize my big brother in the house, Martin Mutimbe. Thank you for the support. And going back to the question, when it touches employees and visibility, that's a very key area of your growth as a professional person. And for me, the practical ways that they can do is number one, speaking up and contributing your perspective. We have, as a HR, I understand that different personalities are everywhere. We have sanguines who are very loud and sometimes you speak, but you don't mean things. And we have very silent people. We have introverts, we have melancholics, we have phlegmatics. And as a HR, I've learned to give people spaces to comment. Even in meetings, you have to mention before the end of the meeting, you call someone and say, do you have anything to add? But as we transition, as you gain experience, that's why I talked about the skill set, the tool set, and the mindset. Once you have reached a certain level, now you're convicted that you're a good, you are somewhere where you can give ideas. Please speak them out, because there's no one who's going to come and pull things out of yourself. You have to learn to speak out and contribute towards meeting. Even a question is a contribution. When you feel people are discussing about something and it's not probably coming out the way you want, you can just pose a question to bring clarity, and that is going to bring a lot of, can give an impact. The other thing is sharing ideas and solutions, not just executing tasks. We find employees who are very good at delivering results, but they are overshadowed by people who speak out the most. So please learn to share ideas and solutions, then taking initiatives instead of waiting to be noticed. So be ahead, ask your manager, I have had this project. Can I lead? You want to be the first to lead so that we are able to see your capabilities. Even if a position comes, when the managers are talking, they'll say, this guy is a good executor. Why don't we give them a chance? Again, it's about skill, positioning, and confidence. It's usually a combination of all three. So you may already have a skill, but you're not positioning yourself strategically. For me, I learned to really bring out the importance of HR in every meeting. Yeah. And that's how I found myself even being engaged in board meetings, that HR is core. We are moving from just administration into decision making and strategy conversation and performance conversations. So as you learn to bring yourself out to the realization of your skills and capabilities, be confident, because there's a way you are going to say things and you're not confident. So people will not buy into your idea. So number one is being confident, learn your profession very well, learn to speak up and share ideas and solutions, and also finalize by saying, by doing this and this is the impact that is going to bring. So be a contributor. And again, make noises where relevant people are so that they remember. There are people who just say, Nani is always very active. Let's try and give them a chance. So for me, I would say that just be visible, but also speak up for people to notice how you can contribute in different areas of what they're looking at achieving.
Thank you so much, Diana, for that. Those were such insightful things you've said. Be confident, be a contributor, be visible, advocate for yourself. And I just like to ask Jennifer, adding on to what Diana has said, does confidence play a part in doing something like this, taking the bold moves?
Thank you very much, Celine. This is a very critical issue that many people find themselves in this kind of situations. I have found myself in that kind of situation where I'm in the room and possibly even what is being said, I really have better ideas. I have the solutions they are looking for, but still feeling invisible. So this is a very good question that you have asked, that we can share with our audience to understand the role confidence plays in this. So first and foremost, I even draw from this verse, Romans 10:14. Romans 10:14 says, how then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? So this speaks about positioning, number one. And number two, speaking. People will not know what you have if you do not speak. Speaking is so powerful when your voice is heard in the room, even if it is, and as Nkirote has alluded, even if it is asking a question, or even reframing what somebody has said, or even making a comment, just so that your voice can be heard in the room. Because the moment you speak, and I have experienced this in many spaces, The moment you raise your hand that you have a question, even in conferences, you will realize even the cameras are directed towards you. So there will be people who will attend that meeting or that conference. Nobody will ever know they went there. But you who raised your hand to ask a question, cameras are directed towards you, and you become visible there. Now, in this case, we are saying Ben is qualified. So skill is already there. And so even whatever he says, because he's already qualified, it is just a matter of having that courage to speak. Because many a times we say the work will speak for me. So I'll do the work will speak. The work sometimes doesn't speak. Your voice has to be heard for you to be visible. And the other thing, and this is about positioning, Celine, your presence in the room or in the space. You can get in and you're seated at the very end, and maybe your voice is what is needed in that room. So even that positioning, you've come in, you have sat at the very end, you can easily be overlooked. So Ben may need to improve in terms of shift from maybe even the positioning, where he sits whenever he goes to that meeting, and speak out and say something, because he's qualified. You have said Ben is very qualified. So he is denying that meeting many a times. He is denying that meeting. He's denying that room, maybe the idea that they are looking for. So what I would say is that speak. The moment people hear and you get an audience from the people, even if it means introducing yourself and being authentic with your introduction, then you become visible and you cannot be overlooked. Thank you very much. That's my contribution.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that. And you have mentioned speak, let your voice be heard. And this leads to letting your presence be felt in the room, right? Physically and audibly, yes. And to Wangui, this brings us to owning your space, owning your craft. So what does owning your space actually look like?
Thank you, Celine. I think I'll just build up to what has been said. And first, maybe going back to saying that we cannot overemphasize speaking up. But there's another thing that I tell people, because I think we confuse this confidence, this courage. And most of us, most of the time, are afraid. So I've told people, speak up even when you're afraid, even when your voice is shaking. It's going to shake today, tomorrow, things will be better. So I encourage people to just keep speaking up. In terms of owning your own space, I think the other thing I've done, as Diana mentioned, I encourage people first to make peace with their personalities, know who you are, so that you know how to show up. For example, when you're dealing with people that are maybe introverted, what you need to do first is, most of them, they want to do the work before showing up. And so what I encourage people is first understand your personality or the kind of person you are. So if you need to prepare in advance, prepare, be prepared before showing up. And one concept I have learned is, if today I'm meeting with Celine, I just not show up and wait for Celine to tell me about herself. I will have research about Celine, so that by the time we are meeting, maybe I'll be talking about a place she's been to, maybe a book Jennifer has authored, and we may have that conversation about that book. So I encourage people to first understand who they are, so that they can understand how to show up. Then, as it has been said, just ask questions, even if you're not the most senior person in that room. Ask questions, make contribution in the best way possible. One day shaken, the next day it's going to get better. And the other thing that people need to know is, anytime we sit on a table, no one knows what you're made of. So every one of you is, even as we share here, every one of us is expectant, and we are relying, or we are so convinced that all these people have what it takes. So it's upon you to sell your story. Then the other thing I have also learned in terms of owning my space is, it gets to a point where you have to make decisions without experiencing any form of validation. You must get to a point where you decide this must move on, whether I get validated or not, and the world will catch up. So for me, I keep encouraging people to just be you. The world the world will adjust. So there's so much that you can offer. Do it afraid. When you're not sure, ask a question. Today I was in a forum with women in leadership, and one thing that we were told is you can decide to be a fool for 5 minutes or a fool for the rest of your time or for the rest of your life. So just ask a question. Maybe people will be surprised that this person does not know this thing, and you might even be surprised that it's so many of you. But you can be a fool for 5 minutes. The next time you're schooled, and that's the end of that not knowing. But you can also decide to keep quiet about it, and you become that for the rest of your life. So just show up, understand who you are, be proud of what you bring to the table in terms of skills, in terms of the skill set and all that and your experiences, and be willing to share this out even when you're afraid. Thank you, and back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Wangui, for just adding on what Jennifer and Diana have said. And this scenario speaks directly to something many people struggle with, not just being present, but being seen and heard. And also, it just reiterates what Diana has said. It's the process of learning, unlearning, and relearning. And with that, I had asked a question to the audience. Have they ever had to unlearn something to grow? And Martha Wangui comment says, yes, I have been in my comfort zone for so long that this year I took that bold step. I am not there yet. I'm not yet there, but all looks promising, and I know running my own business will give me fulfillment and boldness to go for bigger and better things ahead. And we can all applaud Martha Wangui for taking that bold steps, and we wish you all the best. And there's more, bigger and better. So if any of you have had to unlearn, please feel free to just put your experience in the chat box and I'll read it out aloud. Now, I've had Wangui mention validation, and validation often comes with resistance from people. And this resistance can sometimes be very subtle, very silent, it is not loud. Yes. And I'll just start on with Jennifer. Like I've mentioned, not all resistance is loud. Sometimes it's very subtle. It's being bypassed, being underestimated, being sent away, not even being considered in very many situations, such as just leading a meeting or a group. So how does one in such situation respond without shrinking themselves or overcompensating for not being seen or heard?
Yeah, thank you for that good question. And a lot of this happens a lot, and a lot of people find themselves in this kind of tricky situation where they do not know. Do I respond by shrinking? Do I overcompensate when this happens, when you're bypassed, when you're underestimated? And what I can say about this is you have to believe in yourself. Even if you're the only supporter of yourself, because you're being bypassed. It's not that you're not capable. You are. Only that you're facing some resistance in form of being bypassed or being underestimated. Maybe you're not getting the projects that you should be running with. Maybe there's even a promotion that clearly was pointing at you, but it has gone to somebody else. Does that mean that you shrink and disappear? No, you have yourself. Even if others do not, they are not believing in yourself, you have yourself to believe in yourself. So trust yourself. And once you have trusted yourself enough, then you will not underestimate yourself. Then you will not underestimate your ability. You will stand firm on your value because you know your value. These events do not erase your value. Your value is still there. It remains there. So the best way to do this is to, first of all, believe in your value, and be calm. Be calm. Be calm. Don't react. Take your time to assess your contributions. Look at your contributions with confidence. Pat yourself on the back. I mean, you have done this. And then you can now look for, maybe you seek visibility through, other ways, aligning your actions and reviewing your strengths. What are your strengths? And then leverage on that. And what I can tell you, Celine, these moments don't last for long. They will last for as long as you do not believe in yourself. Instead of reacting defensively, because that's usually the reaction that is easy to do, is to respond strategically. So be strategic to respond to such a situation, and look for, there are those ones, let me say this, there will always be somebody who is believing in you. Everybody cannot fail to believe in you. Maybe the ones who hold the authority, but there are others who look up to you. So build alliances with those kind of people and demonstrate, consistency, and, let your presence speak louder. And of course, your uniqueness will stand out. With time, your uniqueness will stand out, and even you'll redefine your situations around you. I'll mention this quote, Celine. We don't know the power we hold sometimes when such circumstances happen. And of course, I've also found myself in that kind of circumstance. So there is this quote by Marianne Williamson, which I really like. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, to be gorgeous? Who am I to be talented, to be fabulous? And when you face these kind of things, when you're asking yourself that question, you might shrink yourself. But then Marianne says, actually, who are you not to be? Ask yourself that question and trust yourself and your worth. Thank you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that. And what I'm picking up, so I can just, everybody can agree with me, it's all about belief within yourself. It starts with you. And do not fear your own potential, right? And in those moments, external validation doesn't really matter. If you have belief for yourself, you know your own potential and you know you can do it. Outside noise is just noise. And to Wangui, how do you stay grounded when external validation is inconsistent or delayed?
Thank you, Celine. I think I'll pick it up from something Jennifer said, is that we are unique. And what has kept me grounded, despite some of these challenges, is commitment to self. That I have made peace with the fact that I am work in progress. And the only task, one of the main tasks that I have maybe in this life is to become better than, and I had said this before, to become better maybe than I was a few minutes ago and all that kind of thing. That the competition is just for me, not with any other person. Because the other thing I've seen is there are a lot of people that are trying to define us and put us in a box, while themselves are also having their struggles. And so for me, first is to encourage that every person must first commit to themselves and to work on themselves so that you can bring that unique aspect Jennifer spoke about to be experienced by the world. For example, if I'm working on projects or anything, I try to loop as many people as possible. But again, if I realize along the way that maybe you are not aligning, you are not bought in, and I am convinced at a personal level, I am also not afraid to drop people, to drop things so that I can keep going. So for me, I would just say it's just committing to becoming better every day, understanding that I am work in progress. I will not be perfect and no one will, but I have to build, to put in the work. And again, I am in the world for a reason, and playing small will not help. So I have the responsibility of doing that for which I've been, I was created to do. So I have to keep going. So I'm not afraid to drop people, to drop things. and I'm not afraid to do it alone. Thank you, and back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Wangui, for that. And I love that you have mentioned purpose, uniqueness, and commitment to self. I read somewhere that to live an intentional life or a fulfilling life, to lead an intentional and a fulfilling life, you have to know your purpose. You have to know what exactly your creator put you on earth to do. And knowing your purpose and being aware that you're work in progress will certainly help you to remove out external validation. And with purpose comes, we have talked about growth and we have talked about validation. And validation is seeking permission. And growth does not require you to seek permission. You have to give permission to yourself to grow. To Diana, you have explored new spaces and expanded your skill set. What does it take to give yourself permission to evolve without waiting for validation?
Good. Thank you so much, Celine, for that question. And for me, giving myself permission to grow was something that I was actually looking forward to, because when I was in the hospitality industry, I had looked at being the next operations manager in a hotel, because you have an ambition once you start a career. But again, along the way, you hit barriers where, yes, you are being promoted. Yes, there are some salary increments here and there, but they're not hitting where you want, yeah? And there are positions which you want and you interview for them, but they're never given to you. So you find yourself growing, frustrated, and your capabilities, and deep within yourself, you're like, I think I can become more. I am meant to become more. I am meant to be better in this life. And that was something that I realized along the way. And I had to make the bold move of starting all over again. However, when that did not come easily, because you have to talk to your parents, so I'm changing my career. You have to invest again in your education. You have to start all over again in terms of looking for experience. And we know in Kenya, the adverts always say 2 years experience, 3 years experience before you secure a good paying job at that matter. Again, what I really wanted to highlight here is three main things that we can look at, and I have experience, and I always carry it with me, is three things. When you're looking back or evaluating the position you're at, number one, can it stretch you further? The position you're at, can it stretch you further? And that's something I do every time I get a new job. After 2 years, I sit down and evaluate, have I maximized where I am? So then if it can stretch you further, then you push, you ask for more responsibilities, you ask for bigger tasks, you know. Then number two, is it stagnant but salvageable? Then it means then you have to adapt strategically while preparing for your next move. And third is it limiting and unresponsive? Then it means you're asking for promotions, they're not coming through. You're asking for projects, they're not coming through. Then it means that your time to move has come. But again, three things again are looked at. Number one is, are you going to adapt? Are you going to push, or are you going to leave? So these are three things that you need to look at very keenly before you make your next move. Because pushing means that where there's an opportunity, you go for it and you deliver and create an impact, or else you adapt in terms of building a capacity where your skills and your capabilities can be acknowledged, or else you leave if you have hit the rock bottom. But again, you have to be strategic in terms of where you're going. You have to always move a step higher. Don't always make a move that will lower yourself, but a place that will always give you a better experience, better impact in terms of your contribution. But again, in terms of growth, always live your purpose. Don't wait for someone to celebrate you. You will never find people who will celebrate you unless you're making it. That's when you find people celebrating you, because they want to associate with the person you've become. But before the becoming, it is very lonely. It is very challenging. it is very draining because you're doing everything in your power to become the person you're seeing and for people's approval. So don't wait for people to celebrate. Don't wait for people to, to showcase who you are. And we've seen
Yeah.
it. Unless you have made it, unless you're making those bold moves, like right now we are authors, people want to be associated with you. But before that, people could not see your capability, and it had to take Mr. Doso, who we are living his dream, and we bless God for that team, that through him, us as women and other beautiful souls are making the bold moves of writing. And this is a skill that people are dreaming about. But for us, we are
Mm.
seeing coming to life, flourishing. And for me, it's a challenge, and I'm looking forward to writing a book on a topic in HR. And my passion for performance management and people effectiveness and business contribution to people, they are interlinked. So that is my passion, that is my driver in life, and I don't ask for permission about it. And that is why for me, growth and not waiting for permission drives me so much to excel in what I do. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Diana, for that. And you have mentioned the 3 points. Does it push you to grow? Does it need you to adapt? And does it limit you? You have to evaluate on that. And I have to mention that when you evolve, not everyone evolves with you. That we can all agree. We've all had to shed people off, shed organizations, shed friendships off as we evolve. And this is a roundtable question. I'll start with Wangui. People often expect consistency, but growth requires change. So how does one navigate relationships, communities, and environments that resist your evolution?
Thank you, Celine. I think I am a firm believer of times and seasons, and believing that maybe people, spaces, communities will be in your space, maybe for a lifetime, for a season. And when their season is done, it is still okay to let them go. So what I do is, for example, for me, and I want to look back, for example, since maybe we started schools, growing up, there are so many people that we have known along the way, but are no longer in our lives. Does that make them bad people? Does it make it bad people? No, because I think their seasons and whatever purpose was supposed to serve is no longer there. So what I tell people is when you think a relationship, an environment is no longer serving you, there are instances that you have maybe to drop people, you have to move from places. And that's why, for example, people change jobs, people change neighborhoods. So you have to move. But again, there are people you have to maybe put aside, quote unquote, because maybe you'll need them for a few things here and there, so you don't lose them completely. But they should not take an active role in your life, so that then you're in a position now to spread your wings and be able to interact with the next level of people, the next level of environment and communities, so that it can elevate you to what you're supposed to become. So I believe in time, season, dropping, setting aside, and looking for more. Thank you.
Thank you, Wangui, for that. And you've mentioned season. Every person has a season in your life and a reason. So just know when their time is over or when their time is up. Jennifer, would you like to add something on that?
Yes, Celine. Yes, Celine. So we are currently living in a world that is ever evolving, ever changing. And in turn, we are also evolving with time. And in this current generation, if relationships or environments are resisting change, change will change them. And consistency is key, but consistency has also to be consistent with the change. Consistency shouldn't be just retaining or being or remaining status quo, because in earlier generations, let's say the baby boomers and earlier Gen X, the environments favored lack of innovation and just remaining and doing what you're supposed to do. So you could consistently do what you're supposed to do. Like, for example, when I was employed in the bank for the first time, I went there and my work was stamping vouchers, arranging vouchers, filing files, and raising vouchers. And let me tell you, you could do that for years, and you're getting paid for that work without putting any your thoughts. And that was the environment. The environment encouraged that. You continue doing what you're doing and do it well, and you will last here. This is not the world that we are living now. So for now, change is constant. What I would say is, if you're in an environment that is resisting your evolution and your growth, then be strategic, number one. Engage them, because probably they are struggling with either fear of the unknown, and they can't understand the value of your growth, and maybe understand the reasons why are they resisting your growth, and maybe now strategically position yourself and show them your value, the value of your growth. What is in it for them? The value of your growth. And because an environment that resists your evolution, then it actually needs you. In any case, you will find out it needs you more than them. And in that case, then you have the opportunity to look around for someone who appreciates your value. So when all fail, you have engaged, tried to show them your value and value of growth, tried to understand their reasons for that resistance. And as Wangui has said, you cannot continue being in an environment that constrains growth, and therefore you look for another place to go and grow that values your growth.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that. And you mentioned that value is your growth. Your growth is your value, actually. So people should consider that and be strategic in how they move about this. Diana?
Yes, thank you, Celine, for that. So the cost of expansion, it's becoming who I am today has really required me of letting go of comfort for me and to embrace growth. It was not easy, and doing the unseen work that builds strength, resilience, and clarity. And in the book, I also mentioned a time where I had to whistle blow, because there are things that were being done against my beliefs. And in many organizations, as HR, we put posters on our core values, and integrity is always number one. But the question I always ask myself is, how many people stand for that value of integrity? We see corruption taking place every day. We see biasness. We see nepotism in terms of hiring. And so, what is the essence of us always talking about our core values? And for me, I had to stand up for what I believed in. And I really had to mention the things that were being done at the expense of my position. And I knew that was going to happen, because people don't like to be told the truth, especially people we report to or people who are decision makers in an organization. But for me, I was very unsettled in terms of the practices, and I had to mention things the way they were for the betterment. Even if I left, for me, I was very happy that the people who are going to be left behind were going to enjoy the decision that was going to be made later, after that was highlighted. So for growth to take effect, then we have to leave our comfort zone. We have to leave things that we are used to. And yes, change happens every day, but are we ready to be the change that we always speak about? And as leaders, I know most people here are leaders in their respectful places. Do we stand for the things that we always advocate for? And it also goes down to in your families and with your friendships. Do you talk about these things and practice them, or it's just we have them on our boards. The way we say we are Christians, we read the Bible. Do we pray? But for me, that was a defining moment in my career where I sacrificed actually my job uh, for the integrity core value that I stood for. But today, the employees were happy and the management, yeah. So those are moments where you look back at and you say, yes, thank God I did so. And for me, I go back to where I started, that HR was a clear vision from God. And I said, I will not let him down. So thank you, Celine, and back to you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that. And you have just farmed on your beliefs, what you stand for, your core values, your core virtues, and that is very important. You've mentioned that most people just plaster it on the walls or just say it by word of mouth, and they do not practice it. So let us know our beliefs, let us not lose ourselves, and with it comes very many things you have to let go. Like she had to let go of a job, but she did the right thing, and people are benefiting from that system right now. So allow me to read comments from two of our guests about the question I had asked earlier. Matthew Milano says, yes, I had to unlearn, relearn, and learn new things to be able to settle in a new industry. A few years later, change is calling again, and it feels like I have entered a whole new season of learning again. Thank you, Matthew, and continue to be in the cycle of learning, relearning, and unlearning. We wish the best for you. Reg B says, I had to relearn the importance of putting myself first. This is after working for years and feeling like if I didn't show up, things would fall apart. This led me to working for crazy hours with no extra pay, working on Christmas Day, and at the end of it all, the pay was not consistent. I decided to make a scary and bold step of working for myself, and I wish I had done that earlier. Believe in yourself and speak up. Thank you, Reg B, and I'll just reiterate what you have said. Believe in yourself, speak up. And as we move on to something that Diana lightly touched on, that is strategic visibility, positioning yourself. I'll just start with Jennifer. How does an individual intentionally position themselves for opportunities instead of waiting to be discovered?
Thanks, Celine, for that good question. And I have probably touched previously on the positioning, because positioning is all about increasing your visibility, and visibility is what people see. And what people see, they see either through your presence or again speaking up and raising up to just say something. I mean, you will be surprised. Let me say this. Initially, and maybe I don't know whether it's cultural positioning or sometimes we feel like to speak out, or being assertive is like you're being forceful. But that's not true. That's not true. To speak out is to be free-spirited. I realized in some meetings I would go, and together with others, would feel there's someone who is always, raising up their hands to talk, to say something, and would feel like that was not important. But guess what? Those are the people who got visible, and eventually they actually got promotions that surprised us. So that they're, and intentionally positioning yourself for opportunities really is about visibility. And secondly, it is also about creating opportunities for yourself, or even, spotting opportunities that others are not seeing. In the book, I haven't written about this, but there are pivoting. There are times when I pivoted, and there was one particular one, a move I made that, left others wondering, how did you make that move? But it's because I made sure I made myself relevant to the department I wanted to move to. Working for them, becoming the go-to person. People like working with people they think are helping them. So working with that department, it is not a regular move, especially in the banking sector. But because of that and making myself visible to this department, guess what happened when they needed somebody? I was already in their mind. So it became easier. While others saw that as extra work, I saw that as an opportunity, and it actually brought me closer, and it actually brought me and took me to where I wanted to be. So that's what I have to add. Just getting out and putting yourself out there as the go-to person, or as a person, of people would go for, and making yourself available and visible.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that. And I have picked up on increasing visibility, networking and attending events, even taking roles that you wouldn't have taken, just placing yourself out there. And I feel like that is such a game changer, especially in the professional workspace. Thank you for that. And to Wangui, just to add on what Jennifer has said, what role does self-awareness play in stepping up into your next version?
Okay, so I think when I think about self-awareness, I look at it as the ability to know who you are, to accept who you are, and decide how to show up. So the moment you're cognizant of the person you are, I am sure at that point in time, it's very easy for you to know your strong points and your weak points. So whatever, if you're strong, in a particular area, we've talked a lot about positioning, you front that bit much. Yeah. But again, it's also an opportunity for you to work on your weak points. So I have talked a lot about personalities. Introverted, you know what you need to do. Extroverted, you know how to show up. So work on the stronger point, or rather front the stronger point and work on the weak points. And when I say this, for example, I look back at my journey, and as I mentioned, my first degree was in marketing. But along the way, actually, even knowing my personality, and I know I'm that person at the end of the day, I just don't want so much. I want something laid back. I would wonder to myself, will I be able to become the kind of person I want eventually if I continue following this path? And that's how, when I went back to school to do my master's, I majored in human resource. Because now I understand one of the strong points, and especially for the work I do, I think it's such a good job for an introvert, because you're keeping people's secrets. You're talking to people about issues. You know a lot of things that are going to happen, and you're not tempted to talk about it. So I believe that once you understand who you are, and decide how to show up, it's going to help you make very informed decisions. And now when you make those informed decisions, you're going to thrive. Thank you. And back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Wangui, for reiterating that knowing yourself, being self-aware, knowing your strengths and weaknesses can help drive a path for you that you can excel in and put you strategically where you want to be. And I'll just head on right to Diana. You've stepped into new and evolving spaces, including the digital and the global arena. So how do you make yourself visible and credible in these spaces while still building your self-recognition?
Well, thank you so much for that good question, Celine. For you to build visibility and credibility in the new spaces by doing three things for me is really stand out. Number one is show your work. And for me as a HR, we are people-oriented and organizational-oriented. However, for me, when I joined this space, I was drawn to performance management, which probably I would say most HR people run away from. But it is the core business of why an organization exists, and the reason why resources are acquired in any organization. And for me, I was very intrigued by performance management and the contribution it has for both of them. And as a HR, we are the link between the organization and the employees. And I knew this was a niche for me. So for visibility, I knew once I mastered performance management and I was able to talk numbers, I was able to talk about the bottom line, about the impact of the resources we have and what the business and the impact it will bring to any organization. I knew this was going to be a niche for me that will bring visibility of who Diana is as a HR professional. So for me is to show your work. What are you good at? When you join an organization, how fast do you gel in with their strategy? How fast do you gel in with your manager? And one thing that people don't embrace, you know, your manager, either if they are wrong or right, they're your manager. You know, you don't choose your manager, and you have to learn how to live with them. And when you challenge them in a respectful and a dignified way, because they're the only people who can give you opportunities once they arise. They're the only people who can talk about you when opportunities are being discussed. So, in terms of being recognized globally, regionally, or being considered for any growth factor wherever you are, you have to really show your work. Again, what value do you bring in rooms? What is your language when you're in front of people? For me, is to learn about numbers. You know, we are now becoming HRBPs. Our HR role has really grown into different aspects and our contributions to any organization. Like right now, the greatest challenge in our field is AI. How many of us are there are learning AI, and how are we going to embrace this in the organization, in our organizations? So again, what value do you bring on board? The last one is being consistent and not perfect. And for me, that aspect really brought comfort, because when you're learning a new space, you will make mistakes. And in the book, I've learned and mentioned a very important manager that hired me, a lady. And she gave me the space to make errors, and she corrected me in love. And she gave me the freedom to thrive in what I did. She gave me the freedom of sharing my contribution and saying, this is what we need to do. This is what will bring us revenue. This is what we need to accommodate. And when it we sat down again and looked at what happened, you know. So when it comes to strategic visibility, you have to learn how to make relationships with people around you. And again, when you're handling employees, for me, I will speak about my career. How do you engage with employees? Because they can make you fall or rise. So you have to learn how to engage both with your managers or your bosses, and again your juniors. Because when we talk about team spirit, when we talk about working as a team, it's an all-round aspect. You don't leave anyone behind. So in summary, you need to be visible, be valuable, and be consistent. Recognition will follow. Thank you. Back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Diana. And as you have closed with, you have to be visible, valuable, and consistent. And I believe those are very major factors to be able to grow and to be able to earn recognition in a space that you're still building yourself. And allow me, before we head on to speak about an internal shift where the bold move and the growth happens, let me read two comments from Joshua Gayere. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. We are indeed fortunate and privileged to learn from these well-cultured, knowledgeable, and highly educated ladies. I must say that personally, I truly needed such insight and enlightenment to help guide me on my journey towards professional growth and effective leadership thereafter. Thank you so much, Joshua, for those lovely comments to the ladies. He also says, yes, I believe growth is a continuous journey achieved through learning and relearning. Personally, I have encountered several moments where I had to reassess my path, let go of what I was doing, and begin anew. Thank you so much, Joshua. And we are so glad that you're part of this session and you're picking up on a few things here and there. So, and we've been talking about moving into that bold move and that courageous step. So before any external move happens, something has to happen from the inside. Usually say change comes from within, right? We have to start it from within ourselves. And this is a roundtable question. I'll just continue right off with Diana. What mindset shift was most critical in helping you step into the next version that you're going to after taking that bold step?
Thank you so much, Celine, for that question. And one mindset shift for me was getting out of my comfort zone, I had to put in the hours. And I remember when I was getting into my new role as a performance manager, I was getting into a field that I was not conversant with. And this is a microfinance. Coming from experience with IT, you're dealing with introverts, people who are always behind laptops, and it's a very easy environment as a HR to work in. And now I'm moving into a microfinance. Microfinance, you're running after numbers. You're running after a large number of people who are supposed to deliver day in, day out. For me, the mindset was I really needed to come in, and my challenge actually was to put in tools and systems to manage performance. And for me, as I had mentioned earlier, I really love performance, and I had to learn the language of, disbursements, PAR. I know these are new things that you're hearing, but these are languages I think, Jennifer, you understand when you're talking about PAR management, the growth of numbers. For me, that was jargon. I was like, oh my God, will I hack it? But for me, the mindset was I really needed to put in the hours. And for many young people outside here, when you're looking for jobs, you're looking for a job with enthusiasm. You're looking for a job with vigor. But once you land in the job, you find that there's a lot of work. You lose hope. You start complaining. You start looking for excuses. There is nothing good that comes out of laziness. There's nothing good that comes out of procrastination. For me, I remember when I was working to come up with the templates for performance management. I was working from Monday to Monday. I was getting into all meetings just to learn how disbursements, all these things come to make a performance management tool. But let me tell you, within 3 months, I had gotten it right. I had a template that came from 12, 15 items to be measured to only 4. So for me, the mindset here is there's nothing as being comfortable if you want good things in life. And for the young people here, I know Madam Jennifer and Wangui, you know these things. If you want good things, you really have to work for it. And it's a challenge to our Gen Zs and the other generations that there's nothing good that comes without sacrifice, commitment, consistency, and just coming out of your comfort zone, and you will be excited at the fruits you will reap at the end of the day. So you really need to put in the hours, you really need to sacrifice and show your prowess. Otherwise, you will always remain as the others. You will never stand out from the crowd. Thank you. Back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Diana, for that. And I'll just reiterate your words. Growth doesn't happen on comfort. You have to be uncomfortable to experience growth and move in place. Like you said, you can't have a good life without being uncomfortable. And this also reiterates what Jennifer said earlier on. You still have to be uncomfortable. And for you, Jennifer, do you think there is another mindset shift that has to happen for someone to be able to move into that bold state?
Yes, Celine. And the mindset that comes to mind, and which I had to also work on in order to step into, making bold moves, is the conformity. This group think, right from school, there is that group think. if you ask people, what do you want to become? They will generally go along certain lines. Generally, they will say, this is what I want to become, this is what I want to become. And you yourself as well, you will say the same in order to conform. And I want to acknowledge anyway, my high school, the people I went to school with. There's Pamela Okubo. Thank you very much for joining. There's Betty Ngimwa. Thank you very much. And there is also Sarah Igamba. So in this school, we were being trained to be, we were doing typing. So we were being trained to be secretaries and also to be, and we were doing home science and also agriculture. But what I can say is the mindset sometimes we hold and we walk with even into our later lives is probably that which was set early in our lives. And we then have to recognize that and change. I pivoted also from, and I've talked about this in the book, from what I did a degree in animal production, and I ended up being a banker.
The banking, yeah.
The banking industry, and that had to take a change, deciding to break away from the pack, and that is changing that mindset of conformity. The other thing I had to confront later in life is this mindset of you have to be perfect in order to make a move. Bold moves is not about perfection. You cannot be perfect. And if you wait for perfection, then you will not move. You will remain where you are. So when I realized that I don't have to be perfect to be assertive with myself, then I was able to make, subsequent bold moves. Thank you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And you have added conformity and not waiting to be perfect, which also speaks to what Diana mentioned earlier. So I'll just head over right to Wangui. What mindset shift for you works?
I think for me, it's also a shift from waiting for approval to take any form of ownership. I think one thing that I've learned, and maybe it's a common saying, is like life is personal. And I think it's one of the things the ladies are insisting. Like when you show up at work, you need to show up in a certain way. Because the only person, I think for a start, that you need to align with is yourself. So life is very personal. And so because it is personal, you must purpose to keep going for your own sake. Do not wait for any level of validation, to take ownership of things that you will do. Because then at the end of the day, what happens that it limits you, it puts you in a box. And one thing I remember, for example, myself, there are times I look at myself like in meetings. And as I mentioned, I am heading a HR function for an organization in multiple countries. And I cannot believe how far I've come. But it needed me to be very deliberate and intentional, and knowing that Wangui, you have a dream, you want to become better, you want to maybe to lead even global organizations, but you're not doing that if you're trying to tag people along. Because whatever would happen, especially for me, is people trying to define you, or you're very, very laid back, or you're timid, you're this and this. And had I agreed to what the definition that came my way, I don't think I'll have made it this far. So just asking myself, what do I want to achieve? Then personally taking that journey alone, whether I'm cheered on or not, but having that clarity of what I need to achieve and pursuing it without fear, whether I fail or not. If I fail, I wake up and do it again. So for me, every day I am reminded that life is personal. So whatever decision, whatever activity I engage in, it must align with myself first before it aligns, before any other person comes to cheer me on. Thank you, and back to you, Soline.
Thank you so much, Wangui, for that. And you have mentioned being intentional and also realizing that if you succeed, it's a good thing. But if you fail, that is learned lessons. See, there's a quote that says, it's the Mandela quote, I'll just paraphrase it. Failure is not failure, it is learned lessons. So you get to know better and do it better. Thank you so much. Allow me also to read comment from two people. Sarah Igamba says, I'm really grateful to Jennifer for inviting me to this very educative webinar. Thank you. 2, to these powerful ladies, you're all indeed women without limits. I've learned that 1, success is where opportunity meets preparedness. Yes. 2, for one to move from one level to another, it takes sacrifice, teachable spirit, hard work, and to shed off unnecessary people. 3, you have to build your capacity and empower yourself for the next level. 4, be ready to learn and relearn, etc., etc. Looking forward for many, many more webinars. Thank you so much, Sarah. I will definitely have you for the next webinar. We have one from Wangari Govi. She says, congratulations, ladies. A very educative and uplifting session. I'll get in touch on how to get bold moves as I start my journey as a mediator and founder of Agora Mediation Center. Thank you so much, Wangari, and congratulations for being a founder of your center. We really wish you success in what you're starting soon. And also, if you want to get a copy of the book, I will just share the links, not long after the ladies have done their closing remarks. And also for anyone that has a question or any other comments to share, please kindly do that in the chat box, and I'll just head on to the ladies to have this for me. What is one bold move that someone can make this month to step into their next version?
Thank you so much, Celine, for that question, and well done for the comments that are coming in. It shows that we are engaging with our crowds. So in terms of what one can do, for me, I would point out like 3. We often say yes to everything. So this month, can you say no to something that you're usually drawn to say yes to? Mention that one thing, write it down. Again, say yes to a responsibility that stretches you before you feel fully ready. So there's one of saying yes to more responsibility that really stretches you and gets you out of your comfort zone. Number 2 is saying no to one commitment that no longer fits the next version of you. Maybe it's procrastination. You're always saying, I will do it tomorrow. You have to come out of that shell and do it at the right time. Again, initiating the conversation you've been avoiding. Are there people you're looking forward to? And there's something I always challenge my people is, have you ever walked into the CEO's office and just saying hi and saying, this is where I am. I want to be a better person. What do you think I should do differently? How many of us are bold enough, even if you're not, these are things that we grow into. And I challenge people and saying, even the CEO wants to know who you are. You are 300 people. How many of you walk into those opportunities? And maybe that's the only time maybe he will say, oh, I have this opportunity coming. Would you like us to give you this opportunity? And that's how you step into opportunities that were probably going to be given to other people. And putting your name forward, apply, pitch, publish, and propose. The same way that we stood and gave ourselves a chance to Zion Publishers and write a book on bold moves. Sometimes vulnerability, the way we have put our stories out there. There are people who shy off because they say, oh, I don't want people to know me this way. But vulnerability can open doors for you as long as you know how to put it in a way that that's why we engage with professionals. They know how to capture stories and put them in the right way. So never fear, stand out. And I agree with Wangui. One question that everyone seems that they know, you don't know, it will make you a better person. And I learned also from another manager who said, once you join an organization, ask as many questions as possible. That's how you get better at what you do, understanding the organization, understanding the people you're going to work with, and understanding the positions that will be valuable and presented to you in future. So yeah, thank you so much, Celine, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. What has spoken to me is you saying we should say no to something that no longer serves us and saying yes to something that stretches us or grows us. Over to you, Jennifer. what would you what is one bold move that you'd like someone to make this month?
Thank you, Celine. I'm just going to build on what Nkirote has said. She has articulated it very well in terms of looking at shedding what will no longer serve you as you become who you want to become, and
Yes.
just releasing what does not align with that becoming of you, and identifying what you truly need. It's usually said, what brought you here will not take you there. The ladder you used to climb to where you are right now is not the same ladder you're going to use to climb to the next version of yourself, or to the next person you are becoming. So, still on our audience, I would like to congratulate Wangari for attending this webinar, and and she's at her start. She's told us she's starting her journey as a mediator. Yeah, I know her, and thank you for attending. So the next version of yourself, it's stepping, a practical way of stepping into the next version of yourself, really. And this applies to me, because I'm also work in progress, is it requires me to show up with a presence that reflects who I am becoming. As in, be who you are becoming as though you are, because that is where you are. You are heading to. And I would also want to acknowledge Mercy Milanoy. She is my daughter, and I know she is making her. I challenge her a lot, and I know she is making bold moves in her own spaces. So thank you very much. And just stepping into the next move, it is about showing up and being that who you want to be, as though you are already, and you will stand out. Yeah. Thank you, Celine.
Thank you, Jennifer. And you've mentioned be who you are meant to be, which resonates with our theme for today. So saying no, saying yes, and being who you are meant to be. Wangui, what is one bold move someone can make this month?
I think what the ladies have said, I'll be talking about be daring. I've been telling people to try do something alone. We've heard about solo things, solo dates, solo, I don't know, going to the prayer mountains and travels. And whatever happens is, when you begin, you'll be afraid. But once you're done with that, maybe journey or whatever that is, you're never the same again. And whatever will happen, like it's an opportunity for you to have a journey with yourself. And you come back stronger, bolder. So I would just challenge every person here to just try and do something alone. But again, I think in the light of appreciating the people that have attended, I've seen people that I've led before, I've seen family and friends. So I just want to be grateful to them for attending and sitting into the last, so that we can share our experiences. Thank you, and back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Ongoi. You said be daring, and also be daring to do it alone. It's solitude, not loneliness. Yeah, and as the ladies begin to prepare for their final remarks, let me read one last comment from Martin Mutembei. Greetings, everyone. Faith fuels my bold moves, and my faith is fueled by the following. So he has cited three verses. Yeah, three scripture verses. I'll just read one, and the rest I'll give it up for homework. You can read it by your own. So Joshua 1, verse 9, NIV, have I not commanded you? It's a question mark. Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Thank you so much, Martin Mutembe. And those was our words of encouragement. As the Lord has said, do not fear. He is always with you, and what is meant for you will be yours. Betty Ngima says, I'm learning. Or just a minute. The other scriptures are Isaiah 41:10. You can read that later or now, and Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6. Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10 and Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 to 6. So Betty Ngimwa says, I am learning. I'm thankful to Jennifer, my classmate, for this invite. I'm that person who does not speak during meetings. For my fear of, just a minute. For my fear, I fear my point might not be valid. Moving forward, I will now make bold moves. Thank you, Betty, and I'm glad you have been motivated to start speaking, and I know those points are very valid. I can assure you that. So, ladies, as we come to a close, I'd just like you all to give us your final remarks and also go ahead and invite people to the launch together to get a copy of the book, and I will share the links with them. We will start with Diana, then Jennifer, then Wangui.
Wow, wow, wow. We have come to the end. What a beautiful session. We've had very interactive. I love when the audience interacts and connects with us. And we acknowledge your presence, our family and friends and our colleagues. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Thank you, Martin, my brother, for those words. You can see where our faith is founded from. So, in terms of my final reflection, is doing more exhausts you, but becoming more transforms you. And once you expand, you cannot unsee it. The life you want doesn't require more hustle; it requires more of you. And yes, with God, He will give you the strength to do it. He will direct your paths. Always have the right people surround you, have the right friends, have your family supporting you. Always pray and believe that God will always bless the work of your hands. To my friends and family members, to everyone in this platform, you're most welcome to our launch of Bold Moves on the 8th of May. It will be a Friday afternoon from 2 p.m. And we are looking forward to have a lovely, beautiful, wonderful session when we launch this book and ask God to touch every person that will read and be encouraged, be motivated, and they will come out of their shells. And for me, let me just go back and say something that I wrote in this book is when I was very young, I faced bullying. And it's something that I have highlighted that many of people do not want to speak about it. And as parents, this is something that we are going to be seeing as we address mental health in today's society. There's a lot of bullying, there's a lot of suicidal things that are happening. But we need to talk about these things and learning how to highlight them when they are very young. And for me, I thank God that I came from a very supportive family. My parents were very supportive and engaging, that I was able to come out of that mentality of these people are saying things about me, but I embraced who I was. I am a big girl, but out of it, I am a cheerful person. I believe in my capabilities. So I hope you'll grab this book, be encouraged, have your children read it, and see what it's going to do and impact the lives of the many in our community and in our society. And may God richly bless you and may you be encouraged this evening. Thank you so much, Celine. And thank you so much, Jennifer and Wangui, for doing this today with me. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Diana, for those words of encouragement. And we are also glad that you are our panelists today and we have got something from you. We'll have Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you very much, Celine. And I want to really thank everyone who managed to join in, whether following live on YouTube or even have logged in to this webinar. I really want to thank you that you came, and I want to believe that you have got inspiration, a lot of inspiration from this webinar. And thank you for the engagement you have made with us on your comments. We truly appreciate that. So my final reflections on bold moves is that bold moves do not necessarily have to be earth-shattering, ground-breaking moves, things that will shake the world. They don't necessarily have to be all that. And they don't have to wait for a perfect time, that I will only make this bold move or I will only make this move when it is perfect. No, that's not what bold moves are about. They're just about daring to step forward when your heart knows you're ready. When you know you're ready, don't hold back. Step forward. And a bold move is not reckless. It does not wait for a difficult time for you to react to a difficult situation and say, there's the bold move. Sometimes it does. But bold move is really a calculated leap of faith. It is calculated. And that's when then the ability meets opportunity in the now. The best time to make a bold move is when everything is going well. The best time to make any move, including even a career move, is when everything is going well for you, because then you're so valuable. Everybody's seeing your value, not when things start going wrong. Then it becomes very difficult and your options get limited, is when everything is going well. And I would like to encourage you to take that bold move, even when others do not agree with you, because you are aligned and you know you are aligned. I'll still leave you with my mantra. Do what you can when you can, because the moment matters. It may not come back again. That opportunity may not come back again. So you do when you can, what you can, and the moment really matters. So I would like to invite all of you, friends, family, and your friends. I would like to invite you to the launch of the book, which will be on the 8th of May, 2026. It is going to be at 2 p.m. and it is going to be at Trademark Hotel at the Village Market. So we shall be sending the link for registration, and I really encourage you to get yourself a copy of this book. We've just touched on snippets of it to be able to read what is in there, and I want to believe you will be inspired by the stories that are in there as you become who you were meant to be, and also as you step into the new version of yourself. So thank you very much. And we truly appreciate the fact that you have stayed on in this webinar and listened to us and engaged with us. We truly appreciate that. God bless you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, and God bless you too. You have left us with your mantra, do what you can when you can. And I believe it reiterates what our listener, Sarah Igamba, was saying. Success is where opportunity meets preparedness. So we'll have Wangui have her closing remarks.
Thank you, Celine. I think for me, what I would want to tell the participants is, and even the members of the panel, is that we have to purpose to tell our story, even when we are afraid, even when we are ashamed, even when our voices shake. We must let the world know what you are made of, and we must keep showing up. And I hope this conversation has charged every one of us to go back and shake that level of comfort and want to do more. So I hope you sticking this long has charged you, and the next thing, maybe you're writing a book, you're finding yourself a community. I think it's my joy when I see, even as work in organizations, I tell people I'm not only putting systems, but I also want to impact on lives. So I hope this conversation has impacted on you, and it's not going to be the same for you. And just like my fellow panelists have spoken, we want to invite you for the book launch. And I hope that you will get to read our stories. You've just gotten to hear maybe a small bit of it, and it's going to impact and it's going to push you to the next level. So we are looking forward to seeing you on the 8th of May during the book launch. Thank you, and God bless you all. Back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Wangui, for those amazing and inspiring words about finding your purpose and inspiring others. Allow me to just recognize one of our contributing authors for the book itself, Bold Moves. Her name is Lily Ann Washira. She can just say hi, and also thank you for being here and being part of the ladies. Okay, Lily-Ann might not be able to speak, so allow me.
Sorry.
Hi, Lily-Ann.
Sorry. My mic.
It's okay.
It's been such an insightful discussion. I'm really grateful that I attended. Diana, Wangui, and Jennifer, you've done a brilliant job. And to everyone who's listening, I hope you've been able to get good nuggets to make you bold for your next phases. And as Selena said, we're inviting you to the launch. We're looking forward to having you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily-Ann. We're glad you're here. We thank you for your support. And yeah, we'll see you in the next webinars. So thank you so much again to our panelists for your honesty, your insights, and your generosity in sharing your journeys and your knowledge with us. And to everyone who has joined us, this conversation does not end here. We can all agree on that. The next version of you isn't something you wait for. It's something you choose and step into. We're really excited to invite you all to the upcoming book launch happening on the 8th of May, as mentioned, 8th of May 2026 from 2 p.m. at the Trademark Hotel Village Market. And we'd love for you all to be a part of this celebration and journey. We'd also love for you to get a copy of the book available on our local bookstore. Both links to registration of the launch and to getting a copy of the book has been shared in the chat box. You can reference it and do what you seem fit for you. We look forward to seeing you at the launch itself and continuing this journey together. And also would appreciate if you'll join us for our next webinars. Dates will be shared and the panelists together with the team will be shared again. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for being part of Bold Moves. I want to wish you all a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend ahead.
Thank you, Celine, and thank you to my co-panelists also, Wangui and Nkirote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.